our Compass Christmas Telethon. And in just a moment, that I'll be introducing you to some incredible people and incredible ministries that I truly believe will bless you. But before we do that, let me encourage you to help me with a couple things. And number one is that please like and share this live broadcast. But if you know how to do it, the way that you can help most is by hosting a watch party during this event, or even for the recording that will follow this. And so I would encourage you to figure out how to do that, and I'll try to include some information in the comment section on how to host a watch party. But secondly, what I would encourage you, if the Lord lays it upon your heart, is to give to these worthwhile ministries that you'll be introduced to during our program. They're doing an incredible work with helping children who have been trafficked, and to prevent children from being trafficked. And they're doing a great work for helping children who are AIDS orphans, or children who are at risk, or even impoverished women throughout Kenya. They're doing a great work in planting churches and helping Christians to grow. And so I'm going to, we'll be introducing you to those ministries a little bit later on in the broadcast. But I'd also encourage you, if you notice right down here below, is that we have a silent auction going on, and that auction will continue until December 31st. And that's when it will end, and that's when the winning bids, the items for the winning bids will be awarded. We'll have to, of course, ship them out later, but we're pedaling as fast as we can on this thing. But also, we will be awarding the winners of the raffle, the various raffles that we have going on too. And so, one last thing before we get going, and that's just simply this, is that I'm going to do my best to get the program time code into the comment section so that you can kind of find your way around if you're looking for a particular section that you would like to watch. Is that I'll try to get that time code in there. And so I'm just trying to pull all of this together. I'm just praying, and maybe you can pray with me that the technology for all of this will work out. But even above all of that is that people will be blessed as we reclaim Christmas. So that's about it for now. Let's go ahead and get started.
Hey, Carrie, what's up with the cow?
The cow, well, Compass now meets at Cowtown. And Cowtown is a square dance hall. I'm really happy that we're there. It's a great opportunity for us. And so we decided to just run with it. And so,
yeah.
so we're embracing the cow.
We're the church at Cowtown.
The church at Cowtown, that's right. So you're looking very festive.
Thank you.
Yeah. We've decided we're going to reclaim Christmas. That's what we want to do. And that there's so much negativity, so much talk about COVID and politics. But, I think it's time for us to talk about Jesus.
Yes.
And reclaim Christmas. Christmas is a season for celebration. It's a season for giving. It's a season for gratitude. And it's a season for joy. And that's what we want to do during this what are we doing here? A telethon. There we go. the Compass Christmas Telethon. And one of the things that we want to do is just share some of the things that we're grateful for, some of the things that we have reasons for rejoicing. And one of the reasons why I'm grateful is for the people of Compass.
Me too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We have a new member at our church, Cindy Filbin.
Yeah, I love Cindy.
So let's just hear briefly from what she has to say about her experience here at Compass.
Hi, I'm Cindy, and I am blessed. I have been sincerely blessed by God by being able to come and be a member of the Compass family. The church that I attended, my husband and I attended, is no longer having services during the COVID time, and this has just been a blessing. I feel like I've been welcomed into a family, and I would recommend strongly, if you're seeking a place to worship with true believers and God-centered messages, I would recommend Compass highly.
The people at Compass are so great.
They are, and not only do we have great people here at Compass, but I like to say that we're the little church with a big heart. Because one of the things that we do here at Compass is that we support missions that are doing good all over the world. And one of the great missions that we support is Rapha International. Rapha International is a mission that works with kids who have been rescued from human trafficking, whether it's labor trafficking, sex trafficking, or sexual exploitation. And they are just doing a top-notch work. And so let's take a moment out and we'll hear from Stephanie Freed, the Executive Director of Rapha International.
Yay, Stephanie!
Hey guys, I'm really excited to introduce to you a friend and fellow co-worker in the ministry here. She is the Executive Director, President, and co-founder of Rapha International, Stephanie Freed. Stephanie, welcome to our program. Thank you for being with us today.
So good to be with you, Carrie. Thanks for having me.
Cool. It's always good to see you, man. We've been jumping through some of the technical hurdles to make this happen. Yeah. We go back quite a while. I don't know exactly how far, probably about 2000 something or other,
Yeah, maybe 2006,
yeah,
2005.
I think it's somewhere around there, And so you've been working with Rapha International now since what? When did you get involved?
Yeah, 2003.
Okay.
So yeah, we started in 2003. So we started working together, Carrie, not too long after the birth of the ministry.
Yeah, it was fun. So okay, I just got to stop us for a moment and say, what's that name? What's the name? I've heard people talk about Rapha House before, and they thought we were saying Waffle House. So
Yeah,
what's the name Rapha about?
Yeah, so Rapha is a Hebrew word which means healing. And in Exodus, God connected his name, as you know, Carrie, with that word, and he made a new covenant with his people, and he just said, I will be the God who will heal you.
Okay.
You will follow me, keep my commandments, I will be the God who will heal you. Yeah. So direct translation is healing.
Yeah. So how do you do the work of healing? What is your ministry all about? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the nutshell version, Carrie, is that we want to end the trafficking and sexual exploitation and abuse of children, and we do that one child at a time. The statistics concerning trafficking and sexual exploitation are so huge, and you can easily get mired down in wondering, what can we even do to take action against this monstrous problem that's epidemically happening globally to children. And so we want to specify always that it's for us, it's one child at a time. Amen. So that is our focus. We work with law enforcement agencies and child protective services in the countries of our service, which are Cambodia, Thailand, and Haiti. And we depend on them to do that hard work of investigation and rescuing a child from whatever that situation may be, whether it's labor trafficking, sex trafficking, some form of sexual abuse or exploitation. And then they bring the children to us legally and place them in our protective custody. So then, Carrie, it is our great honor to begin to offer what we call the keys to freedom to these very worthy children who are brought to our gates. And for us, that starts with security and basic meeting of basic needs. Very oftentimes, the population of children that we're serving have been denied even proper nutrition. They are, they come through our gates and they're afraid. They don't know who to trust. The people who were supposed to protect them really fell down on the job a lot of times. And so they come through our gates. The day of rescue is not always happy, right? It can be another day. It can be another very serious day. And so it's our great honor in those first moments to show that child where they're going to eat 3 times every single day, no matter what, no matter if their behavior is good or bad. They're going to eat until their tummies are full 3 times a day. And then to take them and show them where they're going to sleep. This bed is for you. It's only for you. Nobody else is allowed to get in this bed with you. This is only for you. And so that just the meeting of basic needs begins to build that trust that we're going to need to help really start focusing on the trauma that has taken place. So when the girls have been with us, for sometimes a few weeks, sometimes it's a month before they're ready to kind of start that journey into focusing into the trauma. And then we're able to begin trauma counseling and therapy with them. At the same time that we're focusing on the emotional needs that they have, we're also focusing on the medical needs, Carrie, because bad things have happened to these little bodies, and there are many, many medical needs that we need to help the children through. And next, we're focusing on education and vocational training. It's all part of that holistic desire, as you put it so well so many years ago. We want these girls to have sustainable freedom. We don't just want them to be free while they're with us, but we want them to be free for their whole lives. And so education and vocational training are really important in that regard, so that they have a way to provide for themselves and their families whenever they are reintegrated back home. And then finally, the final key to freedom is that we're focusing on social work and legal advocacy. So while the girls are with us and going through their healing process, our social workers are working back in the communities with their families, just trying to determine if this is going to be a family that can be reunited with their child. And very often we find that they can be, and that's very healthy. We love the God-given model of family and community, right, Carrie? It's every child longs for their family and for their community. And then the cool thing that we've seen in just helping the girls prosecute their cases against their traffickers or perpetrators is that whether we have successful prosecutions or whether those prosecutions fail, those girls see that somebody believed that they were worth fighting for. And that in and of itself is that's huge. So anyway, those are the holistic services that we provide in our aftercare programs for child survivors.
So how many children does your ministry touch? How many lives are touched through not only your aftercare program, but also through your program, your kids club program? We can talk about that in a minute, but just give me right now kind of a number count of the reach.
Well, we have about 900 children sponsored in our Kids Club program, and all of those children have families and siblings and aunts and uncles that our social workers are able to have touch with, back in the community as they're educating and providing services for those families. Mm-hmm. So thousands and thousands of people are being touched through the Kids Club program. Since 2003, we are just in the process of developing our database to the point where we can go back and add in all of that data. And we're really excited to get that so that we can report really well. But we know that we have served hundreds of survivors through the years. And again, all of those survivors have siblings that we worked really hard so that their siblings wouldn't be trafficked and end up in the same situation as the girls that we're serving. So, when we look back, we're just amazed at what God has done through the years and
we give the glory to God. This is a Christ-centered ministry. However, we don't require that the children embrace Christianity to benefit from our services, correct?
That's right. These girls did not ask to be exploited. That was something that was not their choice. And they are brought to us because it's an emergency situation and they need help. And so our Christian staff is always showing the love of Jesus to these children. But whether that child is a Christian or a Buddhist or a Muslim or doesn't profess faith whatsoever, we're going to treat each child the same, and we are going to love them as Jesus commanded us to love them.
That's great. That's wonderful. We're almost out of time. It seems like, our time together has passed really quickly, but I just want to, I want to kind of encapsulate a couple ideas, and then I would like for you to share any final thoughts or a message with our viewers. But one is that people can get involved with Rapha House by supporting the general work, and that's your aftercare work and helping with children who've been traumatized and providing vocational training for them and also legal advocacy and just on and on. And I've been to Cambodia 13 times. I've seen the ministry up close and personal, and I can tell you 100% that I have complete confidence in the great work that you folks are doing there through Rapha International. But secondly, not only can they get involved in supporting your work through your general fund, but also by sponsoring children through your Kids Club, right? And
That's
so
right.
The Kids Club is kind of the prevention arm where we reach out to children who are at risk, and we help at least kind of provide a safety net in many communities that is not existent, so that desperate situations that sometimes parents are faced with in developing nations, that where they decide that it's a matter of survival and they're going to go ahead and trust this person who's telling them that their child is going to have a better life if they'll just turn that child over to them, that we kind of take that incentive away or that desperation away by providing a safety net for them. And that's you're doing that through your Kids Club program, right?
That's right. That's right.
And so what's your vision? What's next for Rapha International?
Well, we are in construction currently in Haiti. We do have a program there, but when we are able to move into this new aftercare campus in Haiti, it will allow us to double in size in the capacity of children that we are able to serve. And so we're really excited about that.
Mm-hmm. Great. So I would encourage folks to get behind Rapha House. And one of the ways that you can do that is get behind us here in this telethon, because a portion of our proceeds are going to the different ministries that you are watching on and during our telethon. That includes Rapha, and we'll be talking about Tumaini and Million Kids and perhaps other ministries along the way. Any additional comments that you'd like to make, Stephanie, before we wrap up here today?
Oh, Carrie, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to you and to Compass. We just appreciate your longtime support so much. And I just encourage everybody who is watching today to give through the telethon. And it's just going to be such a blessing to the organizations that you're hearing from today. But yeah, just so grateful for you all. Merry Christmas. Have a beautiful time celebrating with your families.
Great. Well, I love you. I love your family. I love what you guys are doing. It's just such a wonderful work. And I pray that God's favor will be upon you, your family, and your ministry, not only during this holiday season, but from here on out. All right. And so, folks, continue to watch our telethon here because, like I said, we have plenty of great ministries that we're showcasing here in our telethon, and that we also have individual testimonies from folks who are involved with Compass Church. And, I would encourage you during this season of giving, and there's been so much negativity that has come our way over the last few months, is that maybe now's the time for us to turn the tide and for you to do something that you can feel good about during this holiday season. And that's by supporting these wonderful ministries and God's work, his kingdom work, both here locally and throughout the world. God bless you. Please stay tuned because more good things are coming your way. I'll see you in a moment. So make sure that you keep watching because we have a wonderful testimony by one of the Rapha girls coming up later in the program. So you've been to Cambodia a couple of times, right?
Yeah, I've been there 3 times.
3 times. So from the times that you've gone to Cambodia, what were maybe 1 or 2 of the most memorable moments?
Well, I would have to say one of the most memorable is the traffic. And when the first time I went there, I was blown away because there are no rules. You just drive wherever you want to drive, whichever side of the street.
I tell people that, do you know what a stop sign means in Cambodia?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Yeah.
But it's kind of like this ballet of chaos because people weren't running into each other or anything, but it did kind of freak me out, when you go all the way across every lane of traffic to turn into a driveway, or whatever. But then when we got to Rapha House, actually, and met the girls and stuff, we did some fun things with them and had like a vacation Bible school type thing. And that was a lot of fun to play with the girls and to do things like that. But I just remember one night when they were all, Kathy Taylor had shared her testimony and they were all upset. And we were trying to comfort them and stuff. And I think that I did rock a few of the girls in my arms like a baby that night, just to kind of comfort them.
Yeah. There's plenty of moments. I tell you, I've been to Cambodia a lot of times, and there's just plenty of great moments like that where you can really see the good that Rapha International is doing. And I would encourage you folks to support it. And this is really a season of giving. It's not only a season of gratitude, but it's a season of giving. And it'd be a great opportunity for you to make a difference in the lives of a child. Because, we are aware of poverty and struggle and difficulty here in America, but what those kids go through.
I think one of the things that really impacts me too is that those girls that were at Rapha House were there because they had really suffered and they needed the help that they needed. But what you can do now, if you sponsor a kid, you can sponsor a kid that's in a poor family and they're an at-risk child, not necessarily meaning that they have been harmed or anything, but this gives their family food, it gives them money for the things that they need so that they don't feel like they need to traffic their child or have them labor trafficked to support the family. Yeah. You probably noticed the art behind us in that I traveled to Cambodia a number of times, and I always take pictures of all the kids and things of that nature. But I love to come back, and what some people don't know about me is that I'm not only am I a pastor, but also an artist, a graphic designer too. And so I would take some of the photos
of the kids, some at Rapha House, some in other organizations, some I've met along the way, and I'd like to come back and draw portraits of them. And these are some of the original art. These are not reproductions, but some of the original art that we're offering in our silent auction. And so I'd make sure that I would encourage you to check out the silent auction, and we'll have the link that will come up to that there on the screen, and you'll be able to go over there and check it out. And it's a great way to do good and get some swag too.
Swag.
So, I love talking.
You are so not hip.
I know. I love talking like the hip kids nowadays. The hip kids nowadays. So, one of the things that brings me a lot of joy, and we've been talking about this is the Compass Christmas Telethon, and we're featuring some of the ministries that Compass supports, the Little Church with a Big Heart, and also just kind of getting you acquainted with some of the folks that come to Compass. And one of the guys that brings me delight is all the time is Mike Latta. And I'm sure I never say his last name right. I've heard it say Latta or whatever. Latta. But he loves to play his guitar and loves to sing. And every Sunday he comes to church, he always asks me, "How you doing?" And I said, "Well, how you doing?" And we always have that banter back and forth. So check out what Mike has to say.
Hi, my name's Mike Latta, and I'm a member here at Compass Church, and I really enjoy it. I get to play music, worship music here, and I enjoy Pastor Carey's preaching, and the people here are great. And I hope that you guys would come out and check it out. I think you would really like it.
Another great ministry that we support here at Compass is Tumaini International. Mm-hmm. And I love Tumaini. I love Stanley, I love Rose, their family, a great family. Mm-hmm. And really, they have a powerful testimony of how they got involved in that ministry. But not only do we support that ministry, we, financially, but we also essentially sponsored a couple of kids along the way.
Yeah.
and our girl, that we had a boy and a girl, and our girls, well, for that matter, the boy still, is that she still has contact with us. We sponsored her when she was about 11, right?
Yeah, I think she's a little younger than that.
Yeah, and now she's gone through college, and she's an RN in one of the large hospitals there in Kenya. And so we had an opportunity to talk with her on FaceTime the other day.
Yeah.
It's such a delight. And people don't oftentimes kind of understand this, is that when you give, you get so much back in return.
Right.
And she calls us mom and dad.
Yeah.
But Tumaini, it's a ministry to AIDS orphans in Africa, but not just AIDS orphans, children who have lost one or both parents to AIDS, but also children who are at risk, and also women who are in extreme poverty. And it's also about community development. And it's grown from just a handful of kids to well over 1,000, and they're doing work all throughout that region. And you're going to be blessed by hearing what Stanley has to say about the ministry of Tumaini International. Hi guys, I'm so excited to introduce to you a ministry friend of mine, Dr. Stanley Matunga, and he is the executive director and founder of the ministry called Tumaini. Welcome, Dr. Matunga.
Thank you so much, Kerry, for the invite.
It's good to see you today. Hey, let's just start off this way. Tell me, what does Tumaini mean?
Tumaini is a Kiswahili word which means hope.
Okay, so it means hope. And your ministry is all about bringing hope where there is no hope. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That is our calling.
Yeah. So tell me, how what encompasses your ministry right now? what are some of the things that you are doing in the country of Kenya?
Well, our calling right now focuses on what I would call 3 pillars, and we focus on the kids or children, vulnerable children. Historically, we started with the AIDS orphans, and over the years, we have expanded our ministry to cover orphaned and vulnerable children in general. We started with the AIDS, and now it's just any kid that is vulnerable. And basically, we focus on healthcare, education, and socioeconomic empowerment. Those are the 3 areas that we focus on in terms of empowering kids who are vulnerable.
And you also work with women, is that correct, to help them to be able to find sustainable means of living?
We do. Actually, the way it works is, so let's say we go to Village A to provide sponsorship for vulnerable children. So we provide healthcare and education to the children, but because poverty goes beyond just the AIDS and the kids, it also goes into the community. We also work with the youth and the women groups within that community who have formed what we call co-ops or self-help groups. They're already trying to address their poverty issues, and maybe there are things that they cannot afford. We come alongside, we partner with them, and we give either grants or microloans and technical support, all the above, so that by the time the kids age out of the program, the community and especially women and youth groups have also been empowered socioeconomically. So
great.
It's really a comprehensive community development, if you will.
Yeah, I just love what you're doing over there in Kenya. I've been there twice. I'd like to go back again, maybe after the COVID thing lifts.
We would love to have you back, Kerry.
Yeah, it'd be wonderful. So how were you called into this ministry? If I recall right, it was a tragedy that brought you into this ministry in the first place.
It was. It's coming almost 20 years ago now. I can't believe it's been. Yeah. So within a period of 3-4 years, I lost 2 of my brothers back in Kenya to HIV/AIDS. And between my 2 brothers, they left 12 kids who basically fell on our lap. My wife and I were raising our 3 boys. And so just through that family tragedy, our eyes were opened to the havoc that HIV/AIDS was causing, not just in Kenya, but in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. And we felt called to specifically help families who had been orphaned through HIV/AIDS. And so that's how we got started.
Yeah. And so from that initial start where you were helping 12 kids, your nieces and nephews, after your brothers had died, is that how has this ministry grown?
We've grown quite a bit. We started with those kids, and then within a couple of months, we found ourselves sponsoring 45 kids, 50 kids. And right now, we are sponsoring 1,643 children.
Wow.
Between kindergarten and all the way to graduate education. We have some pursuing education in Kenya and overseas. But besides the child sponsorship, I should mention that we currently have 1,535 alumni. Those who have gone through the program, doing various jobs, teachers. We have a university professor, we have doctors, we have teachers, we have business people. And some of them now have come back to the organization and are actually working with us in the organization, including the current country director, is a Tumaini alumni. And so we're just proud of what God has done, really. It surprises us every day we look at what has happened. But apart from child sponsorship, we have a medical clinic that serves over 7,000 people every year. Both our Tumaini sponsored kids, they come there, they are treated free because they are sponsored. And then the community members are able to get services at a highly subsidized rate. We also do mobile clinics. We go to the villages where there are no services, and every year we are treating another 1,800 people. And then through the socioeconomic efforts, the women and youth groups that we are working with, this year we have actually reached over 33,000 primary and secondary beneficiaries. These are people who are being lifted out of poverty, or at least extreme poverty. And and we have a girls' high school. Of course, we have the medical clinic. There are a few other things that just God has brought alongside to support the work that we are doing. It's really incredible.
It's really, it really is. I don't know exactly what year I went to Africa, but all of this infrastructure that you've been able to develop has come alongside of that since.
Oh yeah, it's been within the last 5 or so years.
Yeah, but the whole backbone of your program, correct me if I'm wrong, is essentially child sponsorship. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes.
And so you're able to do all of this good, not because you're such a wealthy person yourself.
Yeah, my wife would say amen to that.
Yes. But it's because, and it's not because you have a whole lot of wealthy partners.
Nope.
It's just because individuals who care, who sponsor children as they are able, that sometimes maybe one child, sometimes maybe 3 or 4 or 5, that however many that they're able. What currently is the cost of sponsoring a child? Maybe I should say the investment of sponsoring a child every month. How much is it?
It is
to sponsor a child?
$38 a month.
38, yeah.
Or $456 a year.
Yeah. That's wonderful. My wife and I have sponsored children through Tumaini. We also kind of launched the sponsor the director idea. But
yes.
And we've been investing also just in the general fund along the way, because we just truly believe in and value your work. But and as you know, that one of our sponsored children, she was probably about 11 years old, I think, that when we started sponsoring, and she's a nurse now in Machakos, I believe.
In a big hospital, yes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's and she's connected with us on Facebook. She calls us mom and dad.
Yeah. So she's such a sweet girl. Gladys is just So
we're really proud of her. So before we wrap up here, are there any additional comments that you would like to make, or just observations that you would like to make to our viewers, to maybe offer them up a word of encouragement?
Well, first of all, I know some of the people listening to this have been supporters of what God is doing through Tumaini in Kenya. I just want to thank you so much. Your donation, however big or small, makes a huge difference. We believe that God is not done with us yet. There's a lot more to be done. We have a very ambitious vision that God has given us for the next 3 years to continue to do this. We just want to thank you. Like Pastor Kerry has said, it's a partnership. It's not a lot of money, but it literally changes lives.
Amen.
We just want to say thank you, and we encourage you to get involved if you can.
Thank you so much, Stanley, for taking a few moments to be with us today. I am just so blessed by your ministry, and I just pray that God will continue to bless you in abundant ways. And through this time that we have together today on this telethon, I just pray that God will raise up more and more people who will invest in the ministry of Tumaini. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we will have another a segment where we interview others who are doing great works for God, works that you can have full confidence in that your money goes to the greatest need. Thanks again. Bye-bye for now.
We were blessed to go to Kenya to visit the kids in Tumaini, and I've been there once. You've been there twice.
Yeah.
Why don't you share your favorite memory?
Yeah, okay. Well, there's a lot of favorite memories that I have about the times that I was in Kenya. But one of them that just really stands out in my mind is that we went, and I think this was on the trip that you went with me, is that we went to Matthew's house. And he's the boy that we sponsor. And that we were standing under the tree with Jackson. Jackson is...
He's a character.
He's a character, but he's the chaplain of Tumaini. So we were standing under the tree outside of Matthew's house, and he said, it was under this very same tree that I stood with Matthew some time back, and we prayed that God would raise somebody up to answer his, I can see you're starting to well up, but really, seriously, is that God would raise somebody up to answer our prayers. He said, little did we know that prayer was going all the way around to the other side of the world, and that God touched the lives of you two people. And that then we came back to that very same tree.
I have to tell you a memory of Matthew, because our whole team were able to take the kids that we sponsored, and we took them in a bus to a store where they could spend a certain amount of money on themselves. And they were told that means no candy or food or anything like that, like clothes or whatever. And so they had never been in a bus, they had never been in a store, and they had never had money to buy anything with. And so the kids are all looking at different things, and I just remember Matthew. I tried to talk him out of it. He wanted this pair of shoes, and they were dress shoes with a really pointy toe, and they were so not what you need when you're out in Africa walking around. And I kept trying to say, well, wouldn't you like this tennis shoe? Nope, he wanted those shoes, and I was really happy that we could get them for him.
Yeah, I have so many cool memories, both of Cambodia and Africa, but yeah, there's one that sticks out in my mind is that we once went to a house that was just an extremely poor house, and by the way, there's a whole lot of extremely poor people in that area. And so we, on that occasion, that we had brought over a bunch of toys. Were you with us that time that we brought the toys?
I don't think I was.
Yeah, okay.
They were like McDonald's toys, right? Like from
yeah,
McDonald's.
Yeah, and dolls and things like that.
Yeah, little freebies.
So we went to this house, and that the kids were literally clothed in rags. It was just, and I felt shame from thinking, here we are giving these kids toys when they really need,
food
clothes.
or clothes.
Yeah. But I asked our Stanley was with us that time, and I asked Stanley, I said, do you think that those kids have ever had a toy in their lives? And he said no. Now some of these kids were older kids, and even
some of the adults.
Yeah, some of the adults. Yeah, and some of the adults were playing with them because they had never had a toy in their lives. And I'm telling you here, friends, I remember the home movies when I was growing up of Christmas. You know what I'm talking about, and it's just these mountains of toys that we end up breaking or forgetting about or whatever. But I think that just by deciding that you're going to sponsor one of these kids and bless them. When Christmas rolls around, you can give a little bit of extra. It's not like, I think, $20 extra to the child that you're sponsoring. And the workers there will go out and buy some gifts for them to have during that holiday time. And so let's remember that Christmas is not about getting, it's about giving.
Yes.
And one of the ways that you can reclaim Christmas this year is by sponsoring a child at Tumaini International. And we have all of the links set up so that you can give very easily. We have the text option where you can give by text, and all you have to do is text the word give to the screen, to the number on the screen. And that will bring up the screens that you need to sign up so you can do it. And all of this is extremely secure. We use probably the top giving service that churches are using today that's both safe and secure. And so you can just text that word give to the number that appears on your screen, and then sign up, and then you can just give whatever one-time gift. We're not asking you to sponsor a kid, but if you feel inclined to that, you will have the links to do that along the way. But we're just asking for you this holiday season to reclaim Christmas and make it a season about giving and blessing these children. And the money that comes in during this telethon is that we're sharing with the ministries that we are showcasing here in our time together. And so I would just encourage you, if you find it in your heart, to give. And and you're going to be blessed just like I was blessed. We were blessed standing underneath that tree. And for that matter, years down the road, the returns on that investment keep on giving, because we get to watch Gladys in her life and see her grow in so many ways. And so the people at Compass, we're a little church with a big heart. And Laureen is one of just really the cherished people. We've known her for many, many years.
31.
Yeah. And that she, and you're going to be blessed by hearing what she has to say in her testimony here. Let's take a look at that.
Hi, my name is Laureen. I was deeply hurt by a former church, and so for a couple of years I kind of hid out from participating in church life. I was burned out. But as my broken heart started healing, God began nudging me back into service at a local church. And that's when I came to Compass Christian Church. Solid biblical teaching and loving, generous people ministered to my soul. And I would invite anyone to come check us out. People at Compass care.
Oh, you changed your jewelry.
Yeah, I decided to wear my Christmas necklace. I had my headband on earlier. I just really got into the Christmas look this year.
Yeah. One of the ways that you can really get into the Christmas spirit, and I realize that we won't be able to ship out these items. We not only have the artwork here, and we, different people have participated in our silent auction. We have a renowned collage artist from the Tampa, St. Petersburg area who has donated some pieces.
Oh, cool.
And so that we also have some Rapha clothing and bundles that you can purchase. My wife has gotten on early. she's already. I
got my bid in.
She has already her bid in, and we're kind of hoping that nobody will buy. Or this is our raffle that we have going on.
I already bought my raffle tickets. I may buy more.
Yeah. And so,
can I tell them about this?
Yeah.
This quilt is made by a friend of ours and a member of our church who is extremely good at making quilts. They are beautiful quilts. And this earlier in 2020, I believe, is when she fell and she hit her shoulder and messed it up so bad that she kind of lost the use of her hand. And so she wasn't able to...
The whole arm.
Yeah, for her whole arm. And she wasn't able to quilt for a long time, but she really prayed for the healing, and just, you know, was kind of sad too about thinking about not being able to quilt anymore. And God has healed her hand enough that she was able to make this quilt.
And this is the first quilt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll hold it up a little bit. You can see how beautiful it is. And besides that, on the back, this is flannel. So it's really soft and everything, and it's all quilted on the back. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if you want me to have it, don't buy any raffle tickets. But if you want to help earn
the
some
cause.
money,
Yeah, help the cause.
go ahead.
Yeah. You know what she told me a while back is that she named the quilt the Hope Quilt.
Well, that's very cool.
Yeah, because you know, she said, and the cool thing about it is that it's made from scraps of material that she had in her sewing room, and it reminds her of how that God will take the scraps of our life.
That's perfect. She's so cool.
She is. She is.
This looks good on me, right?
All right. And so I would encourage you folks to check out our silent auction. And there again, you'll see the link to it on the screen, and that you can go ahead and sign up. It's really, the process for signing up isn't that complicated, right?
It's not really hard,
Yeah.
but you know, when you first open it up, it has a thing where it says register, I think, on the bottom.
Well, you did it on your phone.
Yeah.
On the computer, there's the registration panel is on the
Oh, okay. Because on the phone, it was a little difficult because Carrie said, oh, you just go and register. And I'm like, how? And it took me a while to find the little register button on the bottom of my phone. But yeah, it might be easier on a computer.
Yeah. So you've already bid for you.
I'm on it.
Yeah, I know. I can see that we're going to be financing this whole operation.
Yeah, I started on a Thursday.
All right. You know, while we're talking about people who are a blessing, is that I just have to talk a little bit about Wayne McKenzie, because he has just really stepped up and helped us big time during this season. You know, getting ready for this telethon has really added to my workload a lot. In the meantime, that we have purchased our very first piece of property.
Yes, we have.
Yes, and it's an old modular double wide
Classroom.
Yeah, well, it used to be a special needs classroom.
Yeah.
And so at the Cowtown, the Cowtown is painted in kind of this barn,
Brownish red.
the barn red with the white trim.
Right.
And so we're having to refurbish that whole unit out behind the Cowtown, and we're going to call it the barn.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
I would just like to introduce you to Wayne and have you to hear what he has to say and be blessed by his words.
Hi, my name's Wayne McKenzie. I've been with Compass Church for almost 15 years. And I look back and see the things that I've done and helped with, and the blessings that I've received from Operation Christmas Child and helping with different things in the church. It's been a very good blessing for me and our families.
You know, I just can't say enough good about Wayne and the blessing that he's been to me along the way. And I also can't say enough good about our next guest on the segment, Opal Singleton. Opal Singleton Hendershot is her.
Yeah.
She just got
She's
married.
a newlywed.
Yeah. And so she is the president and executive director of Million Kids. And I'm telling you right now, there's nobody that I've ever met, and I've been in kind of moving in the anti-human trafficking circles for a while. There's nobody that I've ever met that knows more content about combating human trafficking. She teaches law enforcement. She's taught, I can't remember, but she did one Supreme Court, one state's Supreme Court, the FBI, and on and on and on. She works with the Riverside County Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force with the Sheriff's Office, And she doesn't get any money outside of grant money to.
She's written 2 books.
2 books. We'll have those featured too. But certainly I know from just her own experiences that whatever money that she does receive from her work in this area is just not near enough to give her an adequate salary for her work. And the hours that she puts in, I've never, James.
She's the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah,
that's
well,
for
James
sure.
Brown was the hardest working man in showbiz, but Opal Singleton is the hardest working woman in combating trafficking. I have never found anybody who has worked harder than her in that area, and I respect a lot of my colleagues. But she just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And so I'd like to just for you to take a couple minutes out and to hear what Opal has to say about the good work of Million Kids. Hey, I'm really excited to introduce to you our next guest here on our telethon, our Compass Christmas telethon, and that she is Opal Singleton Hindershot. And she's the executive director, president of Million Kids. Opal, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Great, great. So you recently just got married, right?
Yeah, about 3-4 weeks ago, leaving on the honeymoon in a couple of days.
Yeah, I know. That's great. Well,
Getting
good for
out
you.
of Dodge, yes.
Get out of Dodge while you can before California shuts completely down.
That's right. People say, what if you can't get back in? I go, I'll live with it.
Yeah. Oh, well, So tell us a little bit about the name Million Kids. What's that all about?
Well, first of all, let me say the Million Kids, Pastor Carey is the one that made up the name, and he actually is the founder of Million Kids. A lot of people think it's me. It is not me. It was him. And that name was developed because more than 1 million kids are trafficked each year throughout the world. And so it really is telling of the problem of, especially of sex trafficking.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us a little bit about your work. And by the way, you're very gracious in saying that I founded the ministry, but it really was just a shell before you came, and you're the one who really gave it life. And so I appreciate your enthusiasm. And when it comes to human trafficking and combating, speaking up and speaking out about this issue, is that there, in my view, there is no one who knows anything more about this than Opal Singleton Hindershot. And so you ought to be very proud of the great accomplishments that you've achieved. And so tell us a little bit about your ministry. What do you guys do?
Well, first of all, we serve as the training and outreach coordinator for the Riverside County Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. I report to the sheriff. I have a new boss now, Sergeant Menchaca, and report to Sheriff Chad Bianco. And I've done that now for almost 10 years, hard to believe. But we serve as the training and outreach coordinator for the Human Trafficking Task Force. Riverside County residents are so blessed to have, I believe, one of the most accomplished task forces in America. There are only 3 task forces in the entire United States that have been funded 3 times by the Department of Justice, and we are one of them. My role, back before COVID, I would travel across the United States training other task forces. The Alaska State Troopers, half the Wyoming State Troopers, back in various places. I can't even think of all of them, Lenexa, Kansas, and on and on. Trained law enforcement, first responders, fire departments, social workers. I was fortunate to train part of the Arizona Supreme Court and LAX security and the international and the national law enforcement intelligence task force. So that is a lot of what we do, is train law enforcement on the subjects of sex trafficking, sextortion, which is blackmail with a photo, social media exploitation, and child pornography. I've trained well over 400,000 people eye to eye now. Wow. And many more through media. But basically, we're all about prevention and intervention. We run Million Kids Missing Kids, and that is one of the most important works that we do. And by the way, you folks at Compass Christian Church have been donating to that cause and helping us to make that happen for a very long time. Mm-hmm. what happens is a kid falls in love on a dating site. What they don't know is that gangs are using their gang guys on dating sites. This girl never intends to run away. She sneaks out and meets up with this guy. He grabs her phone, throws it out the window, pulls a gun on her, and poof, she's gone. That is just a nightmare for a parent, you know, and so I work with parents, and we send out tens of thousands of flyers, and you all have made a lot of that possible. We are known for education and educating the social system, the foster kids. 60% of kids in prostitution come from foster care. That's a very important role. We train judges, we train the probation department, we train medical facilities, and we're known for our work in schools. We've been training in schools, one of the first in the United States since 2012. So I also sit with parents. I take calls, I take leads. We happen to bring in their largest case, which had over 120 teenagers here from Riverside that were violated. And that was brought in because we trained kids in school, and they came forward and gave us their phone. They were that close to being violated and had no idea. So that's kind of the work that we do, a lot of variation, but it is really important work. When you sit with a parent whose child has been pushed into prostitution or forced or lured in, you know, we do everything we can. By the way, we have 2 books out that certainly you can buy those books at millionkids.org. And then we have a podcast, which is about to become a video podcast. And we have a local radio show on AM 590, The Answer.
Cool. So, so tell me, you know, I mean, how were you called to this?
I'm not sure, Carrie. You were involved in it somewhere along the line. I don't know. I mean, I didn't want to get involved in the church, and you were very kind, and you said, well, what about Cambodia? And you and I worked together in Cambodia, and you actually started Million Kids to serve the Cambodian community. And then one day, you know, God just put me in a particular place that he had in mind. It was actually an interesting meeting at Boardwalk Park late at night. And my husband thought I was crazy, but anyway, I was the only audience, and that taught me early on. I don't care how many people's in the room. It can be 3 people, it can be 3,000 people. I don't care. Whoever God wants in that room will show up. He asked me, the head of the training task force had just formed the task force, and they asked me to be their training and outreach coordinator because I knew trafficking was spelled with a K, and that made me capable, okay? We were so ready. Anyway, he went undercover, and what he didn't know about me is I'm a rabid researcher, and I have to now put in tens of thousands of hours about technology and the dark web and money laundering, and I train on all of those things. Anyway, he went undercover. He said to me, you have to work for free because, you know, you have to raise all your own money and pay all your own way. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is my kind of retirement. I'm retired. Anyway, I'm about to be, next year I'll be 75. Holy cow. Wow. Anyway, so it started. They got a Department of Justice contract. They wrote me into it. And it just is one foot in front of the other. And the more you learn, the scarier it gets, the more determined that if you educate people, you can prevent this.
Yeah, you know, our God is so good because if you stop and think about it, is that you took this from really an organization that had almost zero outreach to well over 400,000 plus people who have been ministered to through your ministry. And so, you know, God has really done a great work through you. And I appreciate your life and your commitment to this cause.
It is a gift, Carrie.
Yeah.
I really want to acknowledge that it is a gift. I could never have done this. First of all, as you know, I couldn't even make a PowerPoint when I started, and I'm still not all that good. Okay. Now we're live streaming. Whoa. But, you know, I study about future technology, but you know, I get up every morning and put one foot in front of the other and say, where are we going today, God? And it has been an amazing ride. I mean, God shows up every time. Just as you think no money's going to come in, we're going to go bankrupt, this isn't going to happen, you know, then God intervenes. And he's done that this year. It's been the hardest year of our life, hardest year. but God has been there in every step of the way and held our hand, and we're going to be okay. God is with us.
Amen. Amen. So, you were talking about this being the work of God, and that He's guided you every step of the way. What's your vision? What's the next steps that you see on the horizon for Million Kids?
Well, let me just preface this by saying that we are at a unique time in history for a lot of reasons. Some I never predicted. The COVID thing right now is just a mind-boggling of how that's changing our society. Look at us. I mean, what are we live 3 miles apart, but we're live streaming, right? Nobody's going to school. Kids that are 5, 6, 7 years old are online. And I'm going to tell you, you put a 6-year-old online and they are not going back to their bicycle. And we are seeing kids get violated younger and younger. What I really understand and have really come to understand is that neither parents nor kids understand how the internet is made. I always say, who made the internet? And they'll tell you Al Gore, by the way, or Google, Bill Gates, And if nobody owns the internet. So if nobody owns it, is it private? No, it's not private. If it's not private, why would you put a naked photo on it? Have you ever thought about where naked photos go when you hit send? They recently found a child pornography ring with 1 million paid subscribers. That represents, I'm going to guess, somewhere between 4 and 10 million victims, because most pedophiles have more than one victim, especially online. So you're starting to see pedophiles form large-scale rings, and they lure our kids into sending a naked photo. The kid then won't tell the parent. That's where we get involved. And then they sneak out and try to meet the pedophile to get that photo back, and they get raped. And then you have a bigger problem. And then if you think about it, 70% of sex trafficking victims were previously sexually violated. And so now you have a whole, they think that at least 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed, and 58% of them will not tell. I just had a case over here in Rancho Cucamonga, and she's 17, and she sent out the thing, she blackmailed her, she blocked him. 2 days later, somebody she never met said, oh my gosh, I have this photo, let me help you. She met up with him, he raped her, and life has changed. And so it's going to escalate as next year, the year 2021, this is what my book, Societal Shift, is about, and our new movie. I didn't mention, we have a movie coming out. God has been just incredibly generous with this movie. And what is happening is the entire world will be connected by internet. I call it the vortex. You have global connection. You have mass audience live streaming like TikTok and Triller and Byte and Like. And so our kids will have 1 million followers, 5 million. Will Smith has 40 million on TikTok. So they'll have millions of people that can reach back and text them, okay? They'll have cryptocurrency with it. And none of us will ever have any privacy because we have artificial intelligence, machine learning that knows everything about us. No. That vortex is coming together this next year with our kids staying at home and online learning. And so where are we going? We're releasing a video. I just want to really give a shout out to God on that. I had hoped and prayed for a 45-minute video that I could give to schools across America for free. I'm getting old. I mean, it used to be I'd go out and I'd do 6, 8 presentations in one day, stand on your feet for 8 hours talking to teenagers about sex, of 300-400 at a time, keeping their attention for an hour. But it made a difference. But what if I could put that in a movie and send that across America? Yeah. And I met a producer who was amazing, the top document producer on Netflix. His name's Stephen Peake. He did SEAL Team 6. And he came forward and offered the money to do a full-length feature film after reading my book. Well, we had another sponsor that wanted to do the film, and they kind of collaborated. And so that sponsor funded the film, and I funded the documentary. And it will be coming out in probably April, May. And it is all about how the internet's made and where naked photos go when you hit send.
Oh, wow. Well, so we're almost out of time here. Let me ask you a couple questions here as we wrap up. One is, what is your current need that we can help you with? And also, what additional comments might you have to our viewers that you can encourage them along the way, or how to be partners with you?
Okay. Well, the need is great. We have had the hardest year we've ever had in our life. And I don't know any other way to say that. My last speech was March 12th. Up till then, we had a pretty good bank account. We hadn't funded the documentary yet. And about a third of our income was made by me selling books at speeches. We haven't made a live speech since March 12th. Now, we've made a heck of a lot of Zooms, but it's very hard to sell books in volume over Zoom. So we're missing a huge amount of income. Plus, many of our donors were just regular people like go to your church, and many of them have become unemployed, or they are just in a position where they can't. So, you know, I will tell you that the money that you have been giving to Million Kids we are incredibly grateful for it. We have reached a point, there were times when we weren't sure we were going to be able to stay open. And God has provided, and he continues to provide. So that is our need, is to be able to keep our doors open and be able to, I mean, just this week alone, I had 5 cases. You know, a 15-year-old pregnant by a gang guy who's trying to get the baby. You know, a 11-year-old that's being blackmailed, a 12-year-old forced into prostitution, a 13-year-old lured in. All of those things take time as you get into Million Kids Missing Kids. You help us fund that. And we really need you to partner with us on the project with the video and the movie. The movie will be pretty self-sufficient. It's set up as an investment by other people to do that movie. But the documentary part, I need to get to every school in America. And that is my goal before I die, quite frankly, is we must teach America where naked photos go when they hit send. I can tell you this, once a kid gets it, they don't do it. In fact, they say, oh my gosh, I wish I'd met you a month ago, you know, or can they get it on Snapchat? And so that is the important work that's coming up. It's coming up in the spring. And I really, really appreciate each and every one of you partnering with me. I go to the post office and I see those checks and I'm like, yes, God, thank you. Every day, you know, it literally is, we're in a partnership walking hand in hand going down the road. And I never wanted to build World Vision. This isn't about building a big corporation, and that's a good thing because I'm not
because
good
you
at
haven't.
that. But it's a partnership of parents and grandparents and experts and leaders in law enforcement that care and want to make the difference. And that's why I need you.
Well, Opal, I sure do appreciate your heart for God, and your heart for this cause, and the energy that you put in it. And I also appreciate your friendship. And may God just continue to bless you along the way. And I just hope that he will just rain down his blessings upon you and Million Kids. And now go off and enjoy that honeymoon.
Well, I also want to say that I very much value being a part of Compass Church. I know I don't go so much anymore. Our lives have changed quite a bit. But you're my church, you're my family, you're people. I pray for you. I pray for all those prayer requests that come through. And, you know, for me, it's not a large church, but we're family. And that is hard to find out there in the faith-based community. So thank you for all that you have done and allowing us and accepting Ken into your church.
Well, God bless you. And so, folks, I just want to encourage you to, and particularly during this holiday season, and even as we approach year-end giving, is that there's no better investment that you can make than investing in the life of a child to help them to have safety and security and hope for the future. And Opal is a large part of doing that through her work with Million Kids. So thank you, Opal, and thank you for watching our segment here. That's it for now. We'll see you soon in our next segment. One of the things that astounded me when I was talking with Opal in this interview is that she has presented to over 400,000 people in person.
Wow.
Yeah, to help educate them about human trafficking and the risk that this whole cyber world poses to our children.
Which is so important for parents today to
yeah.
know some of this stuff.
Oh, I think that so many parents are in the dark and ignorant about the risk. You know, kids, they sleep with their cell phone, and that means that they have instant access. Predators have instant access.
Right, and they're so gullible, those kids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, but also, you know, and I'm grateful that our church, you know, and it's a sense of pride for me in a good way that we have stood by these types of ministries through thick and thin in our church. Just like what I said, is that whatever money that we raise during this telethon, we're sharing with these ministries that we're introducing to you throughout our time together. And so, and that includes Rapha International, Tumaini, Million Kids, and am I missing one?
Southern Mexico Missions.
Huh?
Southern Mexico Missions.
I know, but we'll get to him in a minute. But in the meantime, I want to share. Introduce to you another testimony of a Compass member. She's one of those people that helps make our church extra special. This little church with a big heart. Tell us a little bit about.
Okay, our next testimony is by Nikki. And she's been going to Compass for as long as we've been a church. And she's one of those people that she's always there to help in any way that she can with a smile on her face. And so she's been doing the nursery for the whole time, every other month. And
we haven't been having nursery during COVID.
We don't have church, but you know, when we had back in the day, in the old days when we had church and a nursery. And anyway, she's also a friend of mine that I love very, very much. And so here's Nikki.
Hi, I'm Nikki Torres, and I'm a member of Compass Church, and I'd like to share how this church has blessed my life and my family's life. Our pastor has created an online platform with several ways to access it, and there have been times when we wouldn't have normally been able to attend church physically, but we have attended church from places out of state, all over California. My family from all over the United States has been able to attend, and they love it, and they get to share it with their friends and family members, and even talk to their church about how it works. So I still get to see my friends at church. I get to hear the Word of God, and even though we have to be socially isolated, it's quite a blessing, and I encourage anybody to participate.
You know, every one of these missions that we've been sharing with you, Rapha House or Rapha International, Tumaini, Million Kids, are extra special missions. That, you know, we carefully vet the missions that we take on because we're a little church with a big heart, you know. But we also want to make sure that that the people that are using the money that we raise are using it for the greatest good. And so the next mission that, that you know, is that the executive director of this mission and I, we go way back. We have plenty of stories to tell. Not only I've traveled a lot to Cambodia and in Africa, but been to Mexico. I tell people that I've been to Mexico where white people don't go.
And shouldn't go.
Yeah, and maybe shouldn't go. But I have so many great memories and fond memories. Now, I have to confess that I got a little bit carried away because I know Adrian so well that I got a little bit carried away with the interview with Adrian, and so you just have to be patient with me. I indulged my silliness a little bit. So let's watch and learn a little bit about Southern Mexico missions. Hey guys, I'm really excited about introducing our next guest to you. That we've been doing ministry together for a long time, that he works throughout Southern Mexico, and he's the director of Southern Mexico Missions, Adrian Sanchez. Adrian, welcome to the show.
Muchas gracias, my friends. That's great, guys. Hey, Gary, how are you?
I told you I was going to do that. So.
Yes, that's fun. I like that.
It's so all throughout our interview, every once in a while, I'll punctuate it with whenever you make a good point.
Yeah, that'll keep me going. I like that.
Yeah, so hey, tell us a little bit about Southern Mexico Missions.
Well, Southern Mexico Missions is a mission organization that supports, currently we're working with 6 evangelists that plant churches. So we start planting churches in different areas. Sometimes, and most of the times, they start as home Bible studies, but then lead into full-grown churches. And so once they become churches, then we dedicate ourselves to discipleship as well. And so not only do we start churches, but we also train people to disciple other people.
Yeah. So that this all started with your grandpa, and since then that there's been probably hundreds of churches that have started, a lot of village churches. But I remember some of those villages that we visited. Visited villages where white people typically don't go.
Yes.
and some of them where even Mexicans don't go unless you're an indigenous Indian person. I remember.
Yes, I remember being at those places too.
Yeah,
I felt really uncomfortable. I'm like, why would you come here? I'd always question that, and then afterwards, once we left, I understood why. When you see people's lives changed, it really made a difference.
Yeah, amen. I remember going into one of those villages once, where our host, who was a Triqui Indian, he says, don't talk to anybody. Sit in the back of the pickup. Don't make eye contact. Giving you a bunch.
It's like, and you're going to be safe. It's all right.
Yes, yeah. And a bunch of guys with rifles. I'm not kidding you. I'm not making. Rifle. And he says we have to get permission from the village elders before we go into the village.
Yes. Yeah. That's the one I was thinking of too.
Yeah. So and your grandfather started the ministry. I can't remember back in the 50s, right?
Yeah, in 57 is when they moved down from California.
Yeah, okay. And so and then you became the executive director of the ministry back when? Do you know when?
I don't know, like 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
Yeah. But you've been involved with it your whole life, right?
Yes, since my dad died when I was 10 years old, Grandpa kind of became my grandpa dad, or my cool grandpa dad. I don't know, however you want to call it. My granddad. Look at that.
There you go.
But so I would go and hang out with him and go to different places where he preached and taught. So it was kind of fun.
So with the church planting, we've planted churches all throughout Southern Mexico, and like I said, in a lot of these village churches that we have evangelists. We have one guy who rides his motorbike, and how many churches does he visit on a Sunday, do you know?
On each Sunday, about 3. Yeah. But during the week, he'll visit about 7 different congregations.
Yeah. Man, I have some stories. We don't have enough time right now to talk about the stories that I experienced on those, including one late evening when we were coming back off of the mountaintop in the back of a pickup, and the cops pulled a gun on us.
Yes. That was like at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning when they pulled us over.
I know. And, and I'm just going to say this real quick because they rifled through everything. And I was surprised because you and oh, I can't remember the other guy, but you were talking back to the cops, and I was thinking, you just shut up. Let's get out of here.
That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. And and they rifled through Bill Pyle's backpack and stole all of the paper that they thought was money in there. And and they talked to all of us at gunpoint. I had a fanny pack on that had $400 cash in it. And I still remember, it's the providence of God, is that they looked at me and they didn't shake me down. They didn't pat me down. And, so,
they're like, this poor guy doesn't seem to have any money. Let's not pat him.
Yeah. He's the gringo in the back of the truck. So,
yeah, he doesn't have the money.
So,
why?
So COVID, and I just saw that you just visited one of our brothers in Chiapas not too long ago. And so,
yes.
And he has some, seriously, he has some ministry stories to tell,
yes.
Including the time they were going to burn him alive.
Burn him up.
Yeah, at the basketball court,
Yeah, that's crazy.
The crazy thing is that, Americans don't understand sometimes the dangers that Mexican evangelists or ministers face. And sometimes, oddly
to be
enough,
honest, sometimes I don't even understand the stuff that they have to go through.
Yeah.
Since I live in the city, it's totally different. When people ask me, well, what is it like in Mexico? I'm like, well, where I live, it's like this. But where they live, that's a whole different story.
And that's a whole different story.
Yes.
That since COVID has hit, is that we've had to redefine our ministries, and I just check in from time to time on your preaching services. I don't understand Spanish that well at all, as you know.
Yeah.
But I check in on the preaching services. And I have to confess that I have a little ministerial envy because because when you broadcast your services, you're reaching about over 400 people every Sunday. What's that all about?
I guess I'm just very popular.
You are.
It is. It's been a really crazy experience. It all started actually before COVID, that I started posting my sermons online, but it really has helped us during this time because a lot of people are obviously at home wanting to find something to look at.
Yeah.
And they look at us, and I started thinking, I'll just do my sermons and get it over with, but then we would sit down as a family, and I think that really helped. Having Jonathan and David. Jonathan would play the guitar, and we'd set up the drums in the back, and David would play the drums, and Lulu would do like prayer requests. And people obviously during this time have a lot of prayer requests. And so I think that had a lot of pull. One of the really cool things is, and I was just surprised, I see the numbers too, and it feeds my ego a little.
Yeah.
I wish it was a little more popular.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, but we started sharing, and we run into people constantly. And I mean, maybe once a week, if we get to go out and do stuff, and we see people, there are always people who haven't been to church or are usually not at church with us. They will say, hey, I heard that you said this and this, and I really appreciated what you had to say about such topic, or I really never thought that the Bible would talk about these things. And so it's really, really, really encouraging to see that. Or Lula will run into one of her friends. It's like, like Adrian said the other day, and she'll come back to me, my friend from the gym said this and this. He doesn't even know you, but I'm like,
she's quoting you.
Yes. So it's kind of cool to have my Facebook stalkers that are actually, and hopefully learning something from what God expects from us. So now the question is like, what are we going to do next?
Yeah.
Like, how do we keep how do I keep that alive so they can grow closer in their relationship with Jesus? Because like, yeah, I got the word out and that's nice and they heard what God says, but how do we make that real and how do we connect with them? That's really what we've been struggling with, or Lula and I have been talking about lately, is the fact that, hey, we really want to take advantage of this COVID thing and make it to a place where we can honor God.
Yeah.
And we've thought about maybe like we were talking about earlier is doing like a midweek Bible study where Lula could be doing some videos, I could be doing some videos too, and sharing, you know, because there's definitely a lot of need in our communities.
Yeah, well, you know, people may be watching for you, or people may be listening to you, but they really want to see your wife on screen because she is really, she is the dynamic of the dynamic duo there.
Yeah, she brings a lot of balance. I usually try to bring her into my videos, even my fun, just crazy videos that I do. I'm like, hey, I'm going to do a live video. Like, are you up to it? Because you really bring my rating up.
Well, what's your vision for us? You know, what's your current need?
Well, we've talked about the fact that we would probably need more resources in order to purchase like microphone, a better camera, and all the hookup software. Like I've been just using Facebook because it's just easy for me and it works. So like I'll start my service and I'll be like, hold on just a second. I got to share this on the church's Facebook. Lula, why don't you talk for a little while? And so Lula starts talking and then I get distracted and she's like, hey, are you done? I'm like, oh yeah, forgot. But so software, just there's different things that we would probably be able to do things a lot better if we had
reach more people.
We had that opportunity. Yes.
I want to help you to level up your game, and I really hope that some viewers that they feel it on their heart to partner with you in that, because I know even in my own ministry, I just have to tell you real quickly is that one of the families in our church the other day approached me and said, Carrie, we just want to bless you with providing some new equipment for you to kind of level up your game on reaching people through the live streaming. And so, just it's the generosity of people that really makes ministry happen. And so,
that's for sure.
We're out of time.
There's no way we could do it just by ourselves.
Yeah, really. We're out of time. Sorry for jumping in there too quick, but
that's all right.
Any final comments that you'd like to make before we wrap up? Well,
I just want to thank everybody who's been part of SMM in the past, in the present, and that will be in the future. It really, this is actually a team effort. There is no way we could do half of the stuff that we're doing here if it wasn't for faithful supporters who believed in what God is doing in Mexico. I know it seems like Mexico is just so close to the U.S. that it was just, people know about God, but really people don't. And it's just amazing to see the opportunities that we have once we get our foot in the door and they allow us to come in. And so that's really, really exciting. And so I just want to thank everybody who, like I said, has been part of Southern Mexico Missions in the past, in the present, and that will be in the future. We are so thankful for the partnership that we've received, and it's amazing to see what God will do through us all if we only allow him to,
Amen.
So thank you.
Well, I love you, brother, and your family, that you just have a wonderful family. And so I number you amongst my friends, and that's a pretty small number.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hey, let me do that again. All right, so I'm going to wrap this thing up here. Folks, let me encourage you to consider how you might be a blessing to not only the missions that we've showcased on our ministry here today, but also Southern Mexico Missions. It's a worthy effort, and I would not bring any of these ministries to you if I didn't feel 100% confident about what they're doing for Christ and the impact that they've had on the lives of others. what we want to do with this telethon is reclaim the joy in Christmas and celebrate all that Christ is doing for us. He has done for us, is doing for us, and will do for us. And so that's it for this segment. We'll talk to you in just a minute.
I wanted to say something about Adrian.
Yeah, okay.
Because Adrian has been coming to our house. When he comes to the States and goes around to churches speaking about his mission, he always would come to our house and stay for a few days or whatever. And I don't even know how old he was when he first started coming to our house, but he was like a kid.
Yeah, well, he just acts like a kid.
No. He was pretty young.
Yeah.
Because our kids were still home, and they were pretty old. But we'd get a mattress on the floor for him and everything, and so he just feels like part of the family. I just feel like that. He's kind of like my kid. And I've thoroughly enjoyed him. And then we finally got to meet Lula, his wife, who is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And the kids, they have the best kids on earth.
Yeah.
They are such good parents,
Yeah.
But he is a joy.
I say that, I say when it comes to Adrian and Lula, they're the dynamic duo, and she's the dynamic part of that.
I think he said the same thing to you. And somebody else who brings us joy is
Bone, and that we met her actually on that first trip to Rapha House.
Right.
That we met this little girl, and in that she was just a little bitty thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was young.
Yeah, she has such an incredible story, and that. But even besides just such an incredible story, she is just such a wonderful human being, and that I've been blessed, and that kind of comes back to this whole theme, is that when you get involved in helping these ministries, you find out that the returns on it just keep coming back over and over in your life through connections like we talked about with Gladys, and getting to know Adrian and Lula, and the times that we spent in Cambodia, and the work that we've done along the way, and Opal and her energy, and Stanley and Rose, and on and on and on. But certainly that this young lady is one of the highlights. And I would like for us just to take a moment out and hear her testimony and the difference that Rapha House has made, or Rapha International has made in her life along the way. Yeah, and God. Yeah, for sure. And before we watch that, though, let me just encourage you one more time to consider giving by text or through the web, because when you do that, you are partnering with us to bring joy to the lives of these kids. And so let's just go ahead and we'll see what Bone has to say.
Hi, folks. I told you that I have a very special guest here with me today, and I would like for her to share her story and her experience at Rapha House with you. Bone, welcome to our program.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, I'm so delighted to see you. I think that the first time I ever saw you, I don't know, how old do you think you were?
I think probably 14.
Oh, I don't think you were that old,
Oh, well.
But I don't know. Okay. But that was when you were living at Rapha House. And so why did you start living there?
So when I was about 10 or 11 years old, I was abused by my uncle. And whenever the police tried to arrest my uncle, they never find him. So a month later, they still can never find him. So for my safety, the policeman said that I need to move to live in a center, and that was Rapha house. So that way I will be safe from my uncle.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's the reason why I moved to Rapha house.
Yeah. So you grew up in Cambodia and you lived on the water, right?
Yes, I was born and raised on a boat in a floating village in Cambodia, in the same province that Rapha house was located.
Yeah. Is that in the village that's between Battambang and Siem Reap?
Yes.
Yeah. I've been past that village many times, and I always love to go through there. And it's always funny. You see kids that they grow up on the water, that there's no dry land around that they go to, and that they have and that their houses are on the water, their schools are on the water. They even have a basketball court there on the water. And when kids, at least the little kids I've seen, they'll get a wash tub, a little metal wash tub, and sit in it and paddle to their neighbor's house. So how did Rapha help you during the time that you lived there? And you lived there from that time in your life until you moved in with a family who works with Rapha House, right?
Yes, I think I'm living in Rapha house for about almost 7 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Total, yes.
Yeah.
So Rapha house helping me a lot. So Rapha house not just helping me with my education, but it's also helping me with my spirit, because as as we know, in Cambodia the number one religion was Buddhism. So I was raised Buddhism, and also during that time they believe that I went through something bad. Is that my fault because I did something bad in my past life, so that's why I receive it right now. And because of that happened, all the neighbor kind of not look at me in a different way, like no one gonna want me anymore because I'm considered to be dirty and not good. So because of that, I always feel like I'm worthless, and no one love me. But Rapha house show me the true love. Like they always tell me that I am loved and I am valuable. And especially when they have the missionary people like you and other people that been to Rapha house, they always go there, even though it's a short period of time, but they always let me know that I am loved, and they always tell me how much God loved me. And because of that, that's when it's given me hope and courage to keep going, because during that time, not just that happened, but also all my family, they don't really have nothing to do with me too. So I'm just pretty much by myself.
Yeah.
But Rapha house is the one that showed me that I am loved and I'm not alone, because they have the counselor that will come and talk to me once a week, and they have the house mother, and I have like a lot of girls that come from uh pretty much the same problem, like the same problem, same but different. Like we have the same problem, but it a little bit different, but we all in the same boat. Like we hurts and we lost, but Rapha house help bring us hope, and they also provide me education that I always wanted, that I cannot get
Yeah.
back in my home, because the village where I grow up, there's no electricity, there's no school, there's no hospital. But living in a Rapha house, I get all of that access. So it was a great experience with Rapha house.
Yeah. Great. Hey, I'm going to try to speak a little bit of Khmer to you. So forgive me if my Khmer is pretty bad, but it's a ne saart na
Oh, thank you.
and ne chilat na.
Thank you so much.
So tell the people what I just said to you.
You just said that I am beautiful and I am smart.
You
Thank
are.
you.
and so, and that, And the beauty of Bone is evident, and people can just look at you and they can see the beauty, not only the beauty of your face, but also the beauty of your spirit. Is that, and that's what Jesus has done for you, is that he has blessed you with hope and joy. And but you're also a very smart girl. Is that you were in Cambodia, for a time you were working as an accountant. You came to America, and that you married an American man, one of the guys who went went on a mission trip, and now you're going to college in America, and you're studying to be what?
To be a nurse. I'm trying to get my RN.
Yeah, you're trying to get your RN. I am so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, I would like to just give you an opportunity. Do you have a message that you'd like to share, or some words that you would like to share with our viewers, and maybe give them a little bit of hope?
I just want to encourage the people and let them know that always know that God is real and he's there. He's always awake and he knows what's going on. And if you look at my life, I was a little girl. I was born on a boat in a floating village. And none of my family are educated. We were so poor. And there's no way I can make it across from Cambodia to America. But because of God's grace, I was so happy the way he brought me here. Because if it's because of me, I can never see myself get out of that village without God's grace. And just know that God always there and he's always provide. And I know this year has been rough and it's been hard for me and everyone. But even though it's hard, I always look back and I just want you to know that God is still on his throne and we should always be happy because we know who's on our side.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. Akuntran. So that's wonderful. Is that there's a song that I'm reminded of that it says, God will make a way when there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. And God has made a way for you. And I hope to be able to see some of the great things that God will continue to do in your life.
Yep, you're right. Amen. Because like I said, there's no way I can do that, but God is the one who makes the way. Yes.
Amen. So folks, as listen to Bone share her story here today, let me encourage you to remember that, and like what she said, is that we have a lot of problems in our lives right now, and there's a lot of challenges that we're facing, but God will make a way when there seems to be no way. And that Boone is living proof of that. And so I just pray that you will continue to bless children who are facing challenges and struggles in their lives, and be generous and willing to share during this Christmas season. And so I'll talk to you in just a minute. Thanks for watching. When I think about Cambodia and the work that we've done there, is that there's just so many memories of the people that we've met along the way. Mm-hmm. But one of the brightest spots along the way is Tara. And
she's another one. I've just adopted her as my kid, because when she comes to the States to do different conferences that she does and everything, she almost always gets a chance to come to our house, at least for a day to maybe 3 days. And we just love having her at our house. Yeah.
She likes to say that I'm small but mighty.
She is.
Yeah, she really is.
She is very small and very mighty.
She's a mighty woman of God.
And she runs the trips that people take over there to see.
Well, she's a country director now.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, she could, like, if you said, oh man, my back hurts, let me schedule you a massage for today. Yeah. You know, like, she's on it, you know, yeah. Or I'm hungry. Well, here, we'll make sure you have this, you know, or whatever. Yeah. She's like, she takes care of everything.
Yeah, you know, and one of the things I just want to say about that is that she's not only a remarkable woman, but she comes from a remarkable family.
She does, yeah.
And that a lot of folks who are watching may not know anything about Cambodia's history and the reign of terror of Pol Pot. Her mom and dad lived through that time, and that they eventually ended up in a refugee camp in Thailand. I remember talking to her dad once, and that he said that by the time he made it, because all the people in Cambodia were being starved by Pol Pot, and that he said by the time he made it to the refugee camp, that his kneecap was bigger than his thigh. Yeah. And so that he met his, I think that, I can't remember if he and his wife were married before that or not, but I do know this, is that Tara was born in the refugee camp, and that it's just another good example of how that God can redeem our suffering.
Right.
You know, in this season of COVID and political unrest and uncertainty and so on and so forth, is that we're constantly, that so many people are gripped with this sense of fear and foreboding about what the future holds. But I am reminded of how God can work all things for the good of those who love him and who are called according to his purpose. And so he did it for that family. Her dad is a minister at Woman's Island, and Woman's Island is an island that was one of the killing fields where they exiled women and children to that island.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And when we first went there, you could walk, and I'm not kidding you, you could walk the paths of that island and see the bone fragments still there. And still on that island, there are these big pits that are bigger than this studio that we're in. And that's where people would kneel down, and that the Khmer Rouge would come along and whack them on the back of the head and just push them into that pit. And it's still, those pits are still on that island, you know. But and so, but her dad ministers there on Women's Island. Her mom ministers with another anti-trafficking organization, and their family has that their family at their family home, that they have literally hundreds of kids that come to their family home, and that
for Kids Club.
Yeah, for Kids Club, and that that women come to that house to learn about taking care of their children. You know, you talk about social. You know, we push off to the government all of our social services, much of them, but these people are Christians in action.
Yes.
You know. And that the whole family, and you know, she has 2 sisters and a brother, and they're all involved in ministry in important ways too. So, you know, as we're wrapping up here today, that I would like to just remind you that is to, you know, bring the joy of Christmas, and reclaim the joy of Christmas in your own life. But also, one of the ways that you can do that is to once again remember that God hasn't changed, and that he is still the same God that he was back in the days of the Khmer Rouge. He is still the same God that he was before COVID ever hit, you know, and he's still the same God right now in this moment. In the very first graduation service, I remember there in Cambodia, it's a vivid memory of mine that we have, is that some of our girls had come through the program, and I wanted to give them a special gift. And so I gave them a little pearl necklace to remind them how that God brings beauty from suffering. And that a little pearl necklace, a gold chain, and a little small diamond chip there on that. And at that ceremony, I quoted a Bible passage, and that, so just let's hit the highlights of what happened to Joseph.
From his brothers, well, they didn't like him, so they sold him into slavery.
Yeah, so his own family sold him into slavery.
They were going to kill him, but they sold him into slavery instead.
Yeah. He ended up in the house of one of the officials in Egypt, but then he was falsely accused of rape. He ended up in jail, in prison, or in an Egyptian prison as a result of that. You talk about suffering, one thing after another, but eventually was elevated to the second in command in the land of Egypt. His brothers, he and his brothers were eventually reunited after the dad died. They thought for sure that he was going to lower the boom on him. You know?
Well, they didn't recognize him at first.
Yeah. But there at the end of the book of Genesis, you can see it in Genesis chapter 50, verse number 20.
When they thought that he was going to kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says, you know, he says this to his brothers, you intended to harm me. He doesn't varnish the truth at all. He says, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for the good, for the saving of many souls. And that's what he's doing in that day. And that's what he's doing today. You know, is that we don't see the end of this story, how this chapter is going to end in our story. But we can trust that when we are faithful to God, he's going to bring about good. Right. And I would encourage you folks that as we celebrate this season, reclaim this season for good. Reclaim this season for Christ. And let your faith be evident. And put your faith into action like we're told in the book of James. And do some good. And bless some kids along the way. Bless some ministries along the way. And continue to give glory to God. Continue to trust in him. And, you know, before we wrap up, anything that you'd like to add to that, Janice?
One thing I keep coming back to this Christmas especially, I mean every Christmas, but this year it just seems like it's just been in the forefront of my mind more, is that, you know, God didn't have to have Jesus come to this earth, but God came as a baby. It was a gift for us so that we could, because we had lost our way, we were separated from God, and so he sent us as a gift that all we have to do is accept it, and that we can have a relationship with God, that we can be in heaven one day. And I just think that that's so important. And I think that that's what it encompasses. We want people to know God loves you. And there is nothing that you can do that can separate you from that love of God, you know. So that's my message for Christmas. You know.
The Apostle Paul writes in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, he says, thanks be to God for his indescribable gift.
Yes.
And there's not a one of us, including me or anyone who's watching, that fully understands or fully appreciates the beauty of that gift. But one day, one day we will. And hey, folks, thanks so much for joining us for this, our very first Compass Christmas Telethon.
Right. And now you won't have to keep saying that.
Yeah, I know. And so we appreciate you so much. Thanks for watching.
Bye.